Enjoy the sounds of the alchemy bowls. While I wait to see if many people will find me this evening. Welcome. It's been a while since I've offered a live rose reading. Much has changed in my world since I was offering live rose readings last year. My beautiful little soul cat came to the end of her journey here on the earth plane with me. And there has been a lot of work going on behind the scenes with the rose dragons and my work in developing the rose dragon cards and the book, which will be published a little bit later on this year. So the focus has been very much on creating the next steps to the journey, and I also took a beta group through the work with the celestial rose dragons, which was just extraordinary. So welcome everybody, and welcome to the new moon rose reading for the 9th of February. So the new moon exactitude is tomorrow. As we know, when you're coming into the energy of a new aura full moon, as we get closer and closer to the exactitude, so the energy starts to become more intense, and those of us that are sensitive to the energies of this flux of the new and the full moons, really feel the energy as it's starting to wax or wane. So these are really powerful times. This year is moving at an amazing pace, and of course we have just entered, from the Chinese perspective, the year of the dragon. So no surprise really in the fact that the dragon energy has become very strong for many people here walking on the earth, and also of course it's been synchronistically the pathway that has shown up for me as soon as I moved here into the cottage on the edge of Avalon. And I had no idea that the dragons were going to be part of that picture. I'd seen myself as the rose woman, really, so it was a bit of a shock. But nevertheless, the way that the energies are moving for us in these incredible times that we are in, you know, I've for years and years, I've been aware of sort of being aware of the fact that we were on the edge of a massive point of change for humanity, and why so many of us who are old souls have pitched up and haven't necessarily had the most easy pathway through our journey this time. So I really feel that we are getting to the sort of the nub point, so to speak. I think this year we'll see a massive amount of change for us on lots of levels. And certainly, listening to my dear friend Pam Gregory talking of the power of April and the conjunctions in April, we can see that every full and new moon is in some way preparing us. It's inviting us to another letting go. It's another returning back within, finding out at an ever deeper level aspects of self that perhaps we haven't been prepared to see, or have been hidden from view, shall we say. even for myself, and having really been on this pathway since the early 90s, there seems to be even more layers that want to be revealed. And I know that they say that you know, the more you know, the less you know. There is, and the more you learn, the less you know. There is still more and more and more that keeps coming through for us to dive deeper, to be prepared to say, you know, I just want to let go of all that is extraneous to what is my true heart calling for this time. And so it is. And so it is for many of us, where we are traveling lighter on lots of levels. So what was the sense as I tuned in with the roses, through the lens of the roses, for this particular new moon? And I really felt that change was the keynote. That was the energy that really stuck clear for me. And I know we've just had Pluto move into Aquarius. So those of us that are Aquarians, and you know, this week has been a very significant birthday for me. Pluto is going to be doing his thing. He's going to be activating and moving anything that is really calling for shift, calling for change. And there is a real sense of new beginnings on the horizon. Many of us are aware that the past is complete. There may be residue, there may be mop-up, but basically we are moving into new territory. And those that speak of the greater picture of this time, we are moving into a place that humanity hasn't travelled to before, embodied. And much of the work with the roses right from the get-go was talking about the spiritualizing the physical, that we were following the way, the pathway of the rose. You know, the rose for me, the way of the rose, is the feminine path of Christed light, of this Christed heart light. And so Mary Magdalene has been a great way shower for so many of us. For me, it was Lady Nada that showed up as the voice of the roses and the co-creator or the instigator of the Rose Oracle. But ultimately, the calling is to be able to be 100% physical, embodied. And many, like me, have, you know, spent time actually through meditation trying to get out of our bodies, not in it, because it's not, as I say, been necessarily an easy path to be embodied. But it is a real understanding for me, and particularly in the work of recent times with the rose dragons, the elemental rose dragons of earth, air, fire, water, and ether are really calling us to take special note of this connection, our physical bodies, to Gaia, to Mother Earth, because every molecule of this body is of the earth. I am made up, my vessel, this vessel that I journey in, is made up of exactly the same proportional elements as Mother Earth herself. And the more and more we connect with nature, the more we work with the cycles, the more we can be really present to the elements. This evening here, I've got the wood burner lit with fire element. Outside, we have a very wet and windy night here in England. And just bringing attention to the patter of rain on my window and the sound of the wind blowing around the building brings me back into connection, takes me out of head and down into my body, down into connecting with the earth, connecting with my earthly journey here. And I think that this speaks a lot to the fact that many of us have been called to really look at nutrition. Many of us have been looking at how we grow our own food, how we engage with nature, how we can get to spend time in nature. Because we are finding that the herbs and the natural remedies, of course, don't have the toxicity that the allopathic medicines have, although all has its place. All has its place. But how we work with balancing and harmonizing the body, we can rest into natural remedies that can recalibrate and balance the body, because we are of the earth. This is a vessel that I journey in, and it is a vessel for soul, it is a vessel for spirit, it is a vessel for me to journey through this lifetime. And so the more I can take care of this and more that I can spend time in nature, the more at peace and in harmony this vessel is. The roses, of course, as vibrational medicine for the heart, have been a rich resource in that guiding. And I think I've spoken many times of the fact that the roses, when you work with the technology of epitaxy, you can choose the rose and you can put a glass of water on top of the card and allow the frequency coding of the rose to transfer into the water and make energetically charged water, which, because of the sacred geometry of the rose, actually is far more readily absorbed into the cells of the body and is much more available, makes it much more available for the body. Anyway, what more of this time? Well, in my sort of research around the energy of Pluto, as I say, as an Aquarian, that has been very much on my mind. What impact was Pluto going to have in this, certainly in the dance this year, because Pluto will go back into Capricorn towards the end of the year, September, I think, until November. And then once it moves back into Aquarius completely, it's going to be there for 20 years. We are all going to feel that shift. We are all going to feel that change. And Pluto, for many astrologers, and I'm not an astrologer, I'm fascinated by astrology, and it has an influence on particularly the celestial rose dragons and their messages. But you know, we are shifting into this level of Pluto, which is a higher octave of Mars. So we can start to see that there's a different power that is going to be we are going to be offered an upgrade in our consciousness and our awareness of the dance of power over, or an empowered sense of self. I can see that this particular new moon is offering us a different relationship with self and a connection that is going to bring us into a different alignment with the earth, and yet a real sense, an opening sense of our connection as starseeds, as more cosmic beings here on the earth. We are so much more than we were ever led to believe. And so there is an opportunity for connecting at a deeper level with higher soul self, with inner truth, and also with a right relationship with self, so that we can really be in honouring of ourselves and our journey, and an even deepening sense of self-love, self-value, self-appreciation. So let's see what the roses might offer us as wisdom in this particular new moon window. Well, the first rose that's come forward is rose BaGua 7. And this rose speaks of playfulness, of joyfulness, of being childlike. This is a place in the BaGua, in the traditional feng shui BaGua, that would be speaking of children and creativity. How do we express ourselves? Do we make enough time for creative play, where we haven't got an agenda to outcome? We haven't got an agenda as to what this, whatever we might be in creation of, where it's going to go or what it's going to produce, that we can be much more fluid in our expression. And that can be in all sorts of ways. It could be creatively with interior design. It could be creatively making a cake. I went to see my daughter and my granddaughters at the beginning of this week, and my daughter had created the most incredible rose and raspberry cake, not really having a sense of how it was going to unfold, it was how it's going to look. It was an experimental process, but she made the most beautiful and delicious birthday cake for me. And so this way in which we can express ourselves creatively can be such joy. And this rose, if you look at her, she's really explosive and expansive. She's saying, get playful, get joyful, really explore your creativity, explore the different aspects of self that can come forward and can show different sides of you that you perhaps haven't seen. We've been through difficult years. Many of us have found the hangover, if you like, of the COVID years still rumbling out in some way or another. How do we give ourselves permission to play? How do we step forward and give ourselves time just to be creative? That may be writing, that may be painting. As I say, it could be making a cake. It could be in refreshing the colours or the pillows on your sofa. There's all sorts of ways in which you can explore a different, perhaps, way of working creatively. Oh, I'm seeing some familiar faces popping up. Hi, Julie. Hi, Maya. Really good to see you. Yeah, this is the real invitation of these times. We are creative beings. We are from the Creator. Being creative, even though some people say, but I'm not creative. I'm not a very creative person. Really, do you give yourself a chance? Have you had a go at writing poetry? Have you just allowed the energies to flow? We can be creative putting a bunch of roses in a vase, and we perhaps keep ourselves very tight in what might be possible. So, as I say, the first rose this evening is this beautiful rose that is rose BaGua 7. And so she sits in the area of creativity and children. So she's inviting us to be childlike, if you like, which is a really interesting place to be, where it's within that field of unity. It's not polarized. It's not a field of duality. And she's asking us to come into that pure connection to Source, pure connection to be a vessel, and perhaps just being able to get the mind, go to no mind, and see what wants to come. It's really rather lovely because that rose doesn't often come up in the readings. So this is a real invitation to a new experience of self, and to make time for creative play. I've always felt really blessed in the fact that my creativity has run alongside everything else I've done. As many know, I was 18 years a couture wedding dress designer, and I've understood now that it's like creating the Rose Oracle and creating the new Rose Dragon set. There is a joy for me in being able to work, particularly with my photography, and into a place of being able to shift consciousness through beauty, through that sort of inner connection. And we can all do that. We can all do that. So the gift of the roses at this time is the reminder to make time to be creative. Interesting. Second rose, rose 6. And this rose sits on the sacral chakra. So she's really asking us to look at our sensuality, our sexuality, our creativity, and our procreativity. Obviously, sacral chakra is very much connected with birthing. And I very interestingly, if we're talking about children and creativity, and then coming in with sacral, just on the 1st of February, I've had a new granddaughter, a little baby girl that's arrived in my family picture. So this point of the essence of our procreativity and our creativity, this rose also speaks to us about our ability to hold money, which is connected into our sense of self-worth. So when we look at this rose and where she sits in the body, she sits sort of nestled in to the base chakra. So base chakra, we know, is about the foundation of our lives. It's about the tribal imprint. It's the energy of the land that you birthed onto. It is about the storylines that came down, the familial patterning, the familial lines in your family, what you took on board as part of the framework, if you like, for life. When we move up to the sacral chakra, we're looking at what Jung would call the individuation. Who am I inside the tribe? What aspects of what you have taken on through that familial pattern are truly yours? What is truly authentic for you? What is it's this nature and nurture piece, isn't it? So this is really looking at, who am I? What is authentically my expression? What is really true deep within me? Because it's that is connected to the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the higher octave of this energy. And the throat chakra is where we express ourselves in words or in song. This is a very deep place of sharing our truth. But if you can imagine, if it's coming from deep within the sacral chakra, this expression of truth, once we are authentically in this place within ourselves, which the base and second chakra, for me, both go in to create this foundation. Self-love, self-value, self-esteem. I am worthy. I am enough. And therefore, nobody is going to come along and go and blow me over, because I am rooted and grounded in self. And that's what this rose is really inviting us to do. Being aware of our creative energies, being aware of our sensuality, our sexuality, our sense of embodiment, our sense of presence in the body. So the base and second chakra also connect in and dock in with your earth star. And the earth star is 3 or 4 feet below your feet in the earth. And your connection from your physical body down into that energy center, that chakra, tells your physical body whether you are at home where you live, on this particular piece of land. Every part of this earth has energy grids that run through it, and every part of the earth is holding a slightly different frequency coding. So we will often know that there are certain places in the world where we feel at home, where we feel we can relax, where we can recharge, if you like. Many years ago, I was told that there is only one place on the earth plane that is 100% aligned for each and every one of us. We don't have to live on that place, because sometimes that would be almost too much. But we do need to be in a place that has at least a 70% calibration as being a good place, because it's energy positive. It's life enhancing, not life depleting. So this rose with the base chakra connected in, and when they're connected in and docked into the earth star, we're connected then into the energy grids of the earth, whether that's the undulating dragon lines, the rose dragon lines, whether that's the crystalline grids, whether that is ley lines and or particular strong energy lines, like the energy locally here that I went to and was communed by the rose dragons, an energy of a place called Burrow Mump. And Burrow Mump is on the Michael Mary line, and it's a crossing point. And those crossing points are called nodes, they're energy nodes. So when we know where there are certain places where we can connect in with powerful earth currents, we are energetically charged, or we get downloads of information, we know where sacred land is for each and every one of us. Let's say we don't have to be on there 100% of the time. We can take ourselves there in meditation. We can take ourselves there in vacation. If we know the places that really touch us deeply, those are the places that will energetically charge base and second chakra. And this will deepen our sense of ourselves, our sense of embodied presence, and our ability to speak clearly our truth and who we are. So these are all connected. And as I say, this is also the seat of creativity in the body. And how interesting that our first rose was Rose BaGua 7, who speaks to us of creativity in children and being able to make time in our lives for creative play, because that also deepens our sense of ourselves and our place in the world. So let's have a look and see what our third rose is for this evening's reading. And the third rose is Rose Ma 1. And this rose says, I am magnetic. I attract to me all that is in resonance with the deepest calling of my heart. For in that is my truth and my power. So this rose is calling us to authentic, heartfelt presence. Understanding that this rose is your attractor factor, if you like. This is absolutely the energy that goes out in the world and attracts to us the people, the experiences, and the opportunities. This is magnetic. So, Maya saying, yes, I'm pulling all your favourite ones. What about your special ones? I'm very pleased about that. Very good. They are truly, it's a really nice reading this evening, actually. So we're coming into this new moon, new beginnings. What are you wanting to magnetize? Because that really is the essence of this is the electro, this is the magnetic. When we're fully aligned and when we're balanced, masculine, feminine, when the Ida Pingala, when the energy centers in the flow of the body are in total balance, the magnetics of all of the energies of the energy centers become electromagnetic. They become very harmonized and balanced. But this beautiful energy, she is just reminding you that, the more we refine and align, the more we come into that sense of deep inner peace and deep sense of self-love, self-value, self-esteem, where we can find these places that we can express ourselves and feel totally in alignment, totally at one with the world, totally at one with our gifts. These are the places that increase the magnetics of the heart and increase the magnetics of the sacral chakra and increase our ability to be super creative. And I really feel that this creative essence is really calling us on, is calling us forward at this time, into this year of the dragon. The year of the dragon, it has a power to it. It's also connected to the Kundalini energy. It's connected to the creative flows in the body. So we really want to optimize our connection and our sense of aliveness through these different energies. So here we have our 3 roses for this evening. This is the rose of creativity and children, rose BaGua 7. This is the area that she sits in the feng shui BaGua. This in the way that I work with the feng shui BaGua, this is the axis of the creatrix. This is my inner landscape out-pictured. How do I express myself in the world? How does my inner creatrix express herself? When I'm working with the rose BaGua, I'm working with 4 axes across this box of 9 squares. If you're familiar with the feng shui BaGua, I work with the axis of the visionary, the axis of the lover, the creatrix, and the manifester. So it has a slightly different insight. It offers a slightly different insight. But this is the expression of our creative energies into the world. This is the sacral chakra. Who am I inside the tribe? My sensuality, my sexuality, my creativity, my procreativity, and my sense of worthiness, my sense of self-esteem. I am enough, I am worthy. And this creates the foundation for everything and holds the energy of the heart. The Rose Ma roses are all qualities of the empowered heart field. And this one says, I am magnetic. And so whatever we have as a frequency field of activation in our hearts, and this is the work. You know, Anubis in the Egyptian pantheon weighed the heart against a feather. And so we are being called to have hearts as light as feathers. If it's not as light as a feather, what work do you need to do? Is there some shadow work that you need to do? Do you need to wise counsel with the roses and work to see whether you can unlock whatever might be feeling sticky? But the more that we open, and the more that we are prepared to be there and blossom, then the heart field becomes very coherent, and it also becomes able to be very expansive and contractive. So there is a lot of movement within the heart field. And she will give you guidance as to how well that's working for you, because you will be able to see what's coming up on the screen of your life that she is co-creating with you. So there we are. That's our 3 roses for this evening. What else have I got to share? I am doing something new coming up. I am going to be co-creating with a dear friend of mine, a sound healer, RJ Noble, who works from the New Forest with his sweeping sounds. And I am going to be taking my gong, actually, with the crystal bowls and the roses, to be able to co-create with him at a place called The Retreat in the New Forest on the 18th of February. And it's from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And it's on my website, rosealchemy.com, if you want to check that out and see whether you might like to come and weave the roses with sacred sound. I've called it Sacred Sound Sunday. And RJ and I are really looking forward to seeing what magic comes from his incredible mastery of the Tibetan bowls, and working with the alchemies, the crystal alchemies. They weave together magically. We've had all sorts of fun here in the cottage in Avalon, weaving the energies together. So this is our first time in taking it out to the group. So that's really lovely. And I've also got a new 6-week advanced Elemental Rose Dragons course that I'm starting next Thursday. And the Elemental Rose Dragons are absolutely wonderful energies to work with. They were the roses that were the first connectors for me at Burrow Mump, and they came in and said, you know, that they were the elemental rose dragons of earth, air, fire, water and ether, and they had come to help humanity create a different connection with the earth. So it's a wonderful journey. I've actually got 18 Rose Dragon cards that are coming out in a brand new set before by the summer solstice, with a super book that's about dragon energy and the rose dragons in particular. And so there is a fabulous 6-week journey if you feel to come on this adventure. It's a lovely group, and we're going to be diving deep into the connection between, this is the elemental rose dragon of the earth, between the voice of the dragons and Mother Earth and our own healing and empowerment. So it's a really fabulous 6-week course. And that's on the website too. So, you know, do go to rosealchemy.com and you can have a look on the events page and see if there's anything that catches your eye. I've got some other new dates coming in as well. I will be starting off with a new series of classes that are connected with my work with mandalas of love. And some people that have journeyed a while with me with the Rose Oracle might be interested in the way that that's shaping up. Meantime, the beautiful crystal alchemies. This is grandfather. It's a grandfather sage. It's a wisdom bowl. And I have grandmother that is an apophyllite. A beauty. And the Earth Star bowl, rose quartz. And as I say, these will all be going to the retreat and working with the roses to work with the heart field. I'm also part of an amazing day that's being set up in Glastonbury on the 1st of June. Again, creating a global healing mandala of love with the roses and the rose dragons. And the rose dragon cards will be, once they're available, will be in the Chalice Well shop. The Rose Oracle is in the Chalice Well shop, but the rose dragons will be going there too. And this is the air koshi. We're coming into the new moon in Aquarius. 13 degrees of Aquarius. And this is the air element. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I'm amazed that with the weather here that I've actually managed to keep a coherent Wi-Fi, and I'm really pleased to have been able to offer a rose reading this evening. I hope you go well with the new moon energies. As I say, each new and full moon has a gift for us. And if we can get still and listen and tune in to the energy, this is what we have. This is our most potent vessel that we can sense what is true and what is right for us now. Go well with much love and rosy blessings. Bye for now.